think we end up learning more from it.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess probably the most sort of like classical Hollywood movie from this
Hmm.
year is the first John Ford feature film
Yeah,
and
called
the
Straight Shooting.
oldest surviving John Ford film that I'm aware of.
It's his earliest surviving feature film, at least.
Yes.
This was a movie that he made when he was 23. Uh, it
Terrible.
was
And that makes me so angry.
and this was originally budgeted to be a two-reel movie, but the story goes that he tricked the movie studio into giving him more money by telling them that what he'd shot already had been dropped into a river, and so he needed money to
Oh my
reshoot the
god.
whole thing. And it's ballsy, right?
That is. Yeah.
um, and so he got twice as many reels as he was originally budgeted for because he quote unquote shot the movie twice, but just shot an hour-long movie.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, he's credited in this as Jack Ford, which I think he would be for a while until he decided to change his screen credit to John. Not sure why. Yeah, I think he got into he's been in the sort of movie biz since I believe 1914 is when he kind of came out to Hollywood with his older
Hmm.
brother and started who was an actor and started kind of helping him out and stuff, doubling for him, doing like stunts for him, and eventually making his way into directing.
Um, this honestly feels like a real classic western in a
It
lot of
really
ways.
does. I really like this movie. I thought it
Yeah,
was very fun. And it feels so kind of classical in its. I think it makes a lot of sense that this is like the earliest surviving John Ford movie because it feels like a John Ford movie. John Ford being sort of one of the pillars of like the Western film genre.
yeah,
Um, it has so many things which are just like, yep, like there's that thing that is like classical movie Western. This movie stars an actor named Harry Carey, who was a big silent film star. Not the sports commentator that I only know about because of Will Ferrell, but he plays Cheyenne Harry, who is kind of an outlaw type.
implicitly mixed race as well with that kind of Tonto situation.
Is he? I mean, other than the name, is there anything implying
No,
that?
just the name, I
Yeah.
guess.
Um, he
I
doesn't.
feel like that's kind of a trope, though. Is
Yeah.
the Western hero or ancillary character who is more in touch with the ways of the world or something because
Hmm.
of because of being mixed race with the indigenous people.
Um, but like his Harry Carey's performance in this feels so, um, yeah, just like classical Western hero to the point where it's almost like, wait a minute, like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood were just kind of like I don't think
Are
that
all movies this movie?
a little bit like this movie is every Western movie like
Mm-hmm.
in so many ways. Like I was reminded of Stagecoach, of like the Clint Eastwood like spaghetti westerns, and of stuff like Shane. It's got a lot of Shane vibes in it too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a nasty rancher who's like trying to push the farmers off their land. Even that's got a little bit of a sort of like Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven vibe
It
to
does
it.
really have a Seven Samurai feel to it
So
because it's like a small scale Seven Samurai. This movie.
yeah, it's nuts how sort of like this is before any of those things, and it has elements of all of them. It is just
Yeah.
like it is like the pure seed of westerns in so many ways.
Yeah, I was really delightfully surprised by this movie. I have, I don't know if I've ever seen like a classic, like American Western. I've seen like a handful. I haven't seen the big ones though.
No Shane?
I haven't seen Shane. I haven't seen Stagecoach. I haven't seen like anything John Ford before. I like the only one that I can think of is some I can't remember the title. It was some like 50s western with Jimmy Stewart as the main
Oh,
character.
Winchester
Uh,
73.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I've seen that one.
Yeah,
I don't know who did that, but
I've not seen that one. I've heard it's very good.
it was good. I saw it at the Nitrate Picture Show.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm much more familiar with spaghetti westerns. I've seen a lot of spaghetti westerns, and what I had understood was the thing about like the kind of subversive thing about spaghetti westerns is that they had these kind of morally gray main characters. There was like a lot more ambiguity and like anti-hero kind of stuff going on, and the main character or who becomes the main character, Cheyenne Harry, he starts off as kind of a scoundrel,
Yeah, I think that like spaghetti western thing is more pronounced in the 1960s when like American West or like 1950s, 60s when like American westerns were much more sort of like moralistic and kind of square, I guess. More a kind of white hat, black hat stuff. Whereas I think this being so early and kind of pre-code, there is a bit less of that. And yeah, Cheyenne Henry really feels like he's got so many of the kind of like cowboy gunslinger character mannerisms, even just like he's the way he leans on stuff. He like smokes a little cigar. He's got
Yeah.
like a steely gaze.
He's got that like
He gets
that,
in lots of
handkerchief
fights
around his neck. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the only thing missing is like the sound of the spurs, but it's a silent movie, so
Yeah, and there are some moments where Harry Carey I think does some fantastic acting. Where toward the end of the movie, he's having to make some like kind of tough decisions about his sort of masculine like stick it out on my own in the Wild West kind of attitude, or do I
laugh
like
on the range.
yeah, or do I become a farmer? But
Yeah.
boring. But like he's really conflicted because he's grown to like the farmers a lot, and so there's a good scene of him just kind of wrestling with his feelings, and it really comes through in the silent acting.
Yeah, he doesn't overplay it. He doesn't do sort of like the over the top kind of like big wild silent movie kind of pantomime stuff. Like he
Yeah.
gives a pretty, I mean it is a silent movie performance, but it is it's a good one.
Yeah.
I gotta say that the way we're introduced to his character, to Cheyenne Henry, is one of the best character introductions I've ever seen.
It's so insane.
This movie is a pretty like self-serious movie with
Yes.
like death.
That's why it
with,
makes
like,
even
death
less sense.
and starvation and things like that. And then the first time we see Cheyenne Henry, the sort of like, the like cool, aloof, sort of like dangerous, hero at the center of it. We see someone put a wanted poster up on a tree, and then Cheyenne Henry pops out of like a hole in the tree like a squirrel.
At like a 45-degree angle, like from the top left of the screen.
Yeah, it's like he comes out like, that there's that picture of Pennywise from It, like sticking his head out of a pipe. It looks like that. And he goes,
weirdly zany.
so he pops out of the tree like a squirrel, and like he sees his wanted poster, and he's like, "Hey, that's me." And it's a weirdly silly moment in this movie, but I love it so much. And then from there, I mean, we're introduced to the sort of Thunder Flint is the rancher who's trying to push the farmers off the land.
The farmer being Sweetwater Sims.
A lot of great names in this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's there? There's the what was it, Sam the Ranch Boy, Sam the Ranch Man.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Cheyenne Henry shows up to a saloon with the saloon doors. It took me a while to kind of pick up on exactly what was going on in the plot with this. There's a lot of sort of like early plot machinations during the first third of it that I didn't follow entirely. But the movie is entertaining enough without even really following that I was fine with it.
Yeah, I kind of
Um,
lost the plot for a second there too, because like a fight breaks out and it's not entirely clear what it's about.
it's I think
Um,
what it was. This is great podcasting. What I think the movie was is the the sort of well, there's different factions, right? There's the farmers, there's the ranchers, there is this group of outlaws who live off or live they're run by Black Eye Pete down in Devil's Valley.
so Cheyenne Henry arrives in the bar and he gets offered a deal to kind of join the ranchers on their on some mission that they're doing, and he is this kind of amoral guy at the beginning of the movie. And
He's
so
like
he
he's like a
signs
mercenary.
on.
Yeah, he's like a
Yeah.
he's wanted. He's a criminal. He's an outlaw.
He's an outlaw. He's one of those.
One of them
they went
outlaw
into the
types.
saloon to find an outlaw, so they found one. And he, at some point, realizes that these ranchers are much more like bad dudes than he really wants to associate with.
They're up to no good.
They're shooting people in the back, and he and Cheyenne Henry at one point says, "I've done dirty things in my life, but I wouldn't plug someone in the back." And that was that one being shot in the back is Sweetwater Sims's son, and this is part of this kind of turf dispute. Where the ranchers are trying to take over Sweetwater Sims's land, and this is where it really starts feeling like Seven Samurai, because they essentially bring Cheyenne onto their quest to it's very very medieval questing sort of situation, onto their quest to protect them from this raid of the ranchers, and he decides to go along with them because he's a decent guy in the end.
Yeah.
And then there's a big fight.
Yeah.
They kind of
Harry
go on.
recruits some of his outlaw pals, Black Eye Pete from Devil's Valley.
Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, exactly what I thought of. And it all leads to this big kind of like siege almost. This like enormous, like horses, coming in on the homestead. And it does some of the classic kind of intercutting, as we've seen a lot, where there's the ranchers guys are attacking the homestead, and then we're cutting away to Harry and Black Eye Pete sort of riding back towards the farm to help the fight, and sort of like the building tension of sort of like, when are they gonna get there? When's the cavalry gonna arrive? And it's a really well, I think, especially at the time, a really well directed action scene, like action set piece.
Yeah.
It's got tons of horses galloping. Ford, I think, already really knows how to shoot this stuff. Like, having not seen his earlier shorts, I don't really know how much he's sort of built up to this, but it's like he already has such a good eye for just like how to shoot this sort of just like Western action stuff. When to kind of stay wide and show like the landscape, and show like the sort of big like groups of horses moving, things like that, and when to like punch into horses running past camera, or people shooting guns and getting shot and falling out of trees and stuff. It really does feel like he's taking a lot of what I think D.W. Griffith has been doing and kind of taking it to the next step, and kind of kicking it up a notch.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I liked it.
There is kind of another just like weird thing at the end. I don't even know if this is worth talking about, but there's the whole thing of, so like they beat the ranchers, right? And we get a title card that says "Peace and Tranquility Return," and then Sweetwater Sim tells Harry, "My son is dead. Now you be my son." Which is a weird thing to say to a person. And then Joan, Sweetwater's daughter, is like making horny eyes at Harry, and Harry says he belongs on the range, and he leaves. And that's when he has this sort of like, he's grappling with what he wants his future to be. And
there's some back and forth, and at that point, like, he is almost doing a walking off into the sunset
which is how I thought it was going to end. And I was like, perfect.
And then he changes his mind.
And he changes his mind. I was like, nah, never mind. I kind of want to go back. But there's a really, I thought, very funny scene where Joan is waiting for him to come back. And
Yes.
this other guy, Sam, who's been working with the ranchers, but then helped them at the end.
Yeah, and he's been sweet on her the whole time.
Yeah, it's like the
Sam.
whole time they've been kind of set up as like the romantic couple of this movie. And so then Sam comes back and like he meets Harriet when Harry's leaving, and Harry's like, go, like, be with the girl, like you two kids go be together. And so he comes back and he like shows up, and Joan's there like seeing someone come through the door and being like, ooh, who is it? Like not looking. And then Sam comes in and her face drops so quickly. She is so disappointed. She is hilariously let down by this.
You.
She was like, ugh, you. But then Harry does come back and they smooch, and it ends on that.
Classic Western
Yeah.
situation.